Okay, well, thank you all for taking the time to meet with us today. I know your time is valuable and hopefully we'll make good use of it today. And really the topic of today is account-based marketing. And really, I think the biggest thing we're trying to drive here is sales and marketing alignment for account-based marketing success. So really today, hopefully the takeaway from this is you're going to understand some of the challenges that face us all when we're doing account-based marketing. And as well, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the data challenges and this type of stuff, so you can sort of see what we're facing, and I'll hopefully offer you some solutions with some strategies, et cetera, to help with your account-based marketing efforts. And as well, I'll show you some software today as well, but we've got some great tools to help with the account-based marketing strategies. So start things off, really the nice thing about account-based marketing is really it's a strategic focus. We know which companies that we are uniquely positioned to help. So if we know which companies we're uniquely positioned to help, why not align sales and marketing to go chase these? So we know the segment well, we know the market that the companies we're targeting. We have very good control over the direction of our efforts because we see the mountain, that's the mountain we're going to climb. And it's a case that there's a good point of discussion between sales and marketing teams to describe strategies to climb that mountain. And definitely we know what the companies are. There's lots of data available for us to do research, et cetera. We typically are we're in the driver's seat when we're chasing specific accounts. Now, traditional inbound, where we do a lot of effort and then people respond to the effort, the reality is we get what we get, right? It's we can think that we have the buyer personas down, we can think that we know who's going to be excited about our product and service offering, but the reality is you get what you get. And quite often, these marketing are challenged with delivering leads to sales, and this is a really good lead, really. In sales, no, that isn't a good lead. It's not in our industry, etc. And once in a while, we do uncover some new diamonds in the rough, so to speak. But the reality is, like I said, is you get what you get. So on the account-based marketing side of things is it's strategic, the efforts that sales and marketing take, right? It is a strategic initiative where we're, like I said before, we've defined the mountain, we're going to climb the mountain. On the traditional side, it's really, you have to say it is reactive, right? It's we're going to do a bunch of efforts with best efforts, best intentions, but who responds to that effort? Yeah, you don't have complete control over it. Now, for the account-based marketing, it isn't all just peaches and cream. It's the case we face challenges, right? We can say that's the mountain, but it is a mountain. There's going to be rough parts of the mountain to climb, right? And I think the biggest challenge, if we're doing from a marketing perspective, and we're doing digital marketing, the reality is that online buyers, they really trust nothing, right? It's a case that, then why do people trust nothing that they see online? Because it's so easy to fake it, right? It's very easy to build nice websites. It's very easy to build fancy emails and that type of stuff. And the buyers know this, and there's lots of people vying for that limited mind share of the accounts that you're chasing. So it's trust is absolutely a big challenge for us to build trust using digital marketing. And the second challenge, I think, and this is true for all products and services, no matter what we're selling or even if we're buying, put your buyer hat on for a moment and think about the simplest thing you buy online. It isn't instantaneous, it's like, oh, I'm gonna you know, even if you think about Amazon shopping, you know, this product here is 50 cents less for shipping than that product. You know, there's a longer journey. The journeys are getting longer, and the attention spans are getting shorter, right? As buyers have the attention span of a gnat, right? It's a case that you know, and for more complex products and services, there's going to be multiple visits, and quite often, you know, the same buyer would visit your marketing assets or even your website more than once and not even realize that they've actually visited your site before, right? And so really the challenge we face as marketers is how do we maintain congruency or consistency in our messaging through these longer journeys. And I think the biggest challenge that we all face in marketing, whether we're doing account-based marketing or we're doing any other type of marketing strategies, is we have, you know, we're not just focusing on one mountain. There's multiple accounts that we're well positioned to help, right? So it's going to be the case that there's, you know, and not all the accounts are exactly the same, right? Quite often they're in multiple industries, and there's different buyer personas inside these accounts. So it isn't just simple as that we're going to go mountain climbing. Each mountain is unique, and the reality is we only have one website, right? And I don't know a company that has unlimited marketing budget, right? It's we're going to be constrained by these limitations that we have as an organization, right? We have to make choices that will definitely have trade-offs. So really, I think the biggest solution to accelerating buyer journeys and building trust is, of course, our messaging has to be on target. We have to align our messaging to the right people. And you really gotta, and it isn't just, you know, lip service to this, you have to personalize the engagement, right? The messaging has to resonate with the individual prospects. I argue there's a data problem and a people problem to solve here, right? It is talking about these challenges, but if we get to the root of it, there's really two problems to solve here. It's one, the data problem. The second is the people problem. So if we look at the data problem, if we're thinking about data sources as marketers, and I have my marketing hat on at the top of the funnel, is it's a case that with account-based marketing, if we're getting our maps, we're getting all our planning, we're getting our Sherpas involved to climb this mountain. The reality is that it's the data that's really something that we're going to use to better target our messaging, build that trust, etc. So there's really I argue, three different data sources. Speculative data, which is research-based. So these are the companies. Let's go look on the web and see what their their financial statements are. See try to glean some intent that these companies are what they're trying to do, what they're facing, and target our messaging. The other type of data is behavioral data. This is where we can get these prospects engaged, and these people are doing things, and we watch what they do. It's the behavioral aspects, and there's some great things we can learn from the behaviors of our prospects. And then, of course, direct engagement data. This is where we're actually engaging with these people one-on-one. Now, the first layer of data, the research and metadata, it's really, I call this metadata because it's descriptive. It's like demographic if you're talking about individual people. But it truly is, the data is available. Like, we can hire consultants, we can go do the deep dive with our salespeople and find out what we think these companies are by looking at this externally available data. We can maybe hire domain experts or have domain experts in-house that sort of have an idea of what our target accounts are actually doing. Or like I said, we can pay people. Go pay people to go research these companies and come back with these massive reports, that act as paperweights on our desks. And there's also a lot of, from the software perspective, there's a lot of data available through APIs, like whether using Clearbit or these contact aggregators or these type of things. So there's a lot of data available, and really this, I argue this is research or metadata. The other type of data is behavioral data. And this is where if we get people from these target accounts to do something, and the wonderful thing about digital marketing is we can track everything, right? So, where the people are engaging from, where they're coming from, what they're looking at, how long they're engaging with specific assets, what links they're clicking. There's lots of things. Maybe they're phoning us, maybe they're chatting with her. What do they buy in the past, right? These are really, it's monitoring transactional data of the prospects in the accounts that we're targeting. So there's some fantastic data here to help with the buying and selling, I should say, the marketing and buying selling process. And finally, it's direct engagement data. So this is data where we have people talking to people. There's great data available when people are talking to people, right? Sales calls, support. Boy, support's a fantastic source of information. Whether people are chatting, there's lots of, the wonderful thing about communications today is, again, just like the engagement on the web, there's some great ways to collect and capture this data, right? Email dialogues, social media dialogues, all of these types of things where people are actually talking. This is fantastic data for our account-based marketing strategies. And if we look at the funnel, and this is a little bit technical here, and it's a case that if we think about the funnel, at the top of the funnel where we have our target accounts, these are the accounts that the mountains we're choosing to climb this year, where we're going to upsell, cross-sell, expansion sell, etc. It's a case that really at the very top of the funnel, if they're new accounts that we're targeting, it's speculative data, right? And this data at the top of the funnel, the systems that this data resides in is our marketing automation systems, the CRM, maybe spreadsheets, slide decks, reports, this type of stuff. And then the next type of data, which is behavioral data, if we're tracking this data, arguably it's inference. The result of this is inference, because we're going to say this person, these anonymous people, or these people have done something, so I can infer that this is the intent. And this type of data is typically captured in marketing automation system, the CRM, maybe anonymous data aggregators like Google Analytics, or maybe your ERP, your ad platforms, your social platforms. So there's definitely lots of places that this data resides today. And finally, and if we think about in the funnel, so the top was targeted accounts, not engaged. A little bit lower in the funnel is engaged prospects. They have to be engaged to get the behavioral data. And finally, the direct engagement data, and this is factual. And this typically happens when we have salespeople engaged with the prospects and we're actually in an opportunity, or we're close to the sale, or just after the sale, et cetera, doing account penetration. So this is fantastic, because at this point in time, we have people talking to people. We have salespeople talking to our prospects and or customers. So this data, it typically is residing, I would say, in the CRM, phone software, email software, chat software, social software. And probably one of the more critical pieces of software in this story is actually the CRM, because the CRM is where our people, our sales organization, are actually engaging directly with the prospects. And with this whole process to be successful from an account-based marketing strategy perspective and account-based marketing success, is this data has to flow upstream, right? We can't just have these data in silos. The fantastic data has to flow up so we can improve our inference on our behavioral data. Our behavioral data and inference can and definitely change and update our research and metadata so it's less speculative. So I think that really to solve these problems, the technology stack has to align, right? Your tools need to align to be able to build the trust and shorten the buyer journeys and get better engagement with your target prospects. Then really the messaging has to be aligned. The tools and technology needs to be aligned so that you can actually personalize the engagement. And if we think about really, I think there's the two groups of people that are targeting this, and I could arguably you could put at the bottom of the funnel or upwards, depending on your business support and services. There's definitely plays a role in this. But from a funnel acceleration perspective, the two groups of people that we're dealing with are internally our sales and marketing, right? And the sales people have a sales funnel. They're typically the ones that are engaged when the prospect gets into the sales funnel. And our marketing folks are engaged with all of those people in the world or that we're trying to push towards the sales organization. And the prospect, there's still one prospect though. The prospect starts at the top of the funnel, engages with the marketing organization, and then follows through to change hands and is now in the hands of the sales organization. So really, it's a case that this journey is crossing the boundary between two organizations. And each of these people in our organization, the marketing and sales people, they each have their own unique challenges that they face. So really, I think that the sales and marketing organizations have to be communicating well, aligned in strategy, and this is really key to account-based marketing or all marketing and sales strategies. And really, these two teams are extremely critical in the growth of our companies. And it's a case that any misalignment in people, these two groups of people are going to cause slowdowns, and it's going to erode trust and all of these other real big problems. So arguably, it's a case that these two teams have to be tightly integrated and aligned. And quite often what we see people doing to solve the account-based marketing strategies problems is they start buying apps, right? And the problem with this picture is not the tools. The tools are all very good, right? The problem with this picture is really what's missing, and what's missing is the prospect, right? The prospect, this is the person we're trying to move through this funnel. Little pieces of the prospect are spread out amongst all the different tools, so we start tripping over ourselves. So no matter how well the people are aligned, the reality is we're going to lose this alignment because of the data problem and as well as wasting time bouncing between apps. So the premise that I'm saying that will solve, I think one of the things that arguably will solve a lot of these problems, both the data and the people problems, is to align your technology stacks, right? So if we think about the marketing funnel is using, instead of a whole wide range collection of ad hoc tools, is focusing your efforts on a full stack marketing platform or a marketing automation platform. And then choosing as well a CRM that is well aligned for your sales team to feel comfortable working in the tool set and enabling them to get what needs to be done. And as you'll see today, the two tech stacks that work extremely well together, ActiveDemand and Freshsales. So it's something that is important to understand is that ActiveDemand, or the marketing automation platform, is the tool set used by marketers for applying pressure to a population of people with the intent of making it easier to sell, for creating sales-ready leads. And it's a case that when these, it is the system of record for the population of people that are not ready for sales engagement yet. And then once these prospects engage favorably to the marketing activities, they cross this boundary. And once they cross this boundary, they're passed off to the sales organization and into the CRM from a software perspective. And at this point, and this is, I see a lot of CRM and marketing system integrations where they fail and they don't have a proper philosophy, never mind the technical problems. So really the philosophy that we think is that once this prospect has crossed the boundary from marketing into sales, the CRM becomes the system of record. And what I mean by that is it is the data master. So a lot of people think, oh, you need to have bidirectional communication between these two databases. But you know what? It becomes arguably becomes a nightmare from a data perspective. You have to have the philosophy. So if we say this is the system of record at the top of the funnel, and then once something is in the CRM becomes the data master. And why am I saying that it has to be the data master? Well, up here, marketing is doing a lot of inference and assumption, right? Here we have up here it's speculation and inference. Here we have people talking to people. So if people are talking to people, it's salespeople talking to the prospects. That's where the truth is, right? So anything that the salesperson discovers has to be immediately reflected back into the marketing system. It has to overwrite and update the marketing system because it is the truth that's in the CRM. And then once post-sale, we can use automation. We can also feed overlays of data into the CRM to help the salespeople get some of their time back so that they're not just, they're better informed as to which prospects are ready for engagement. So I'll talk a little bit about ActiveDemand, and then I'm going to pass things over. I'm going to talk a little bit about Freshsales, and then I'm going to show you how the two pieces of software connect. So ActiveDemand is a full stack marketing platform. It starts with the buyer journey. So from first touch on the website all the way through to brand advocacy, ActiveDemand is tracking everything that the prospect does. It's fantastic for getting this behavioral data. And if we get the buyer journey, we can intelligently use tools to apply pressure to this population of people to accelerate the journeys. So from a tool set perspective, we have a full social engagement stack. We have a full email marketing stack. We are leaders in the concept of adaptive content. We have landing pages, appointment scheduling, after sales surveys, definitely lots of automation and sequencing, reporting, and arguably the hottest lead that we could ever give sales is having the prospect phone sales. And if we aren't able to make the connection between our marketing effort and that critical lead or the critical signal, there's a gap in the attribution. So ActiveDemand as well is a full call tracking stack. And we have a very deep integration with Freshsales. So I'm going to pass things off now just to Abby, and he's going to talk a bit about Freshworks and Freshsales. And then when I come back, I'll walk through a quick overview of the two tools and how they work together. Abby?
Yes, firstly, thank you for having me on the webinar, Sean. I'm so glad to be here, and you guys have been great partners. We've done some really good work integrating both of our products. And I would like to pick something up from what you were actually mentioning some time back, that the CRM becomes a single source of truth. And that's the entire idea with which we actually built Freshsales. Just to give you an introduction, I'm Abhinandan. I work with Freshworks in the Freshworks marketplace. Freshworks is a product company based out of India and headquartered in San Mateo. We build refreshing and easy to use business software that your teams will love and to help deliver moments of wow to your customer. So just a little bit about Freshworks. So we're based out of 11 locations currently, and we have 11 products that cater to different customer touch points. We have 200,000 plus customers in 135 countries, and we've been funded by Capital G, Axel, Sequoia, and Tiger, and our funding is about 250 million in plus. We're currently 8 years old. We started early 2011. Product was beta stage in 2010. We started in 2011, and it's been a wonderful journey for us since then. Yeah. This is currently some of our customers that we work with. I'm just going to go over to the next one. Yeah. So um, Sean actually hit the nail on the coffin. A CRM is actually a single source of truth when it comes to all of the data that you need to record about your customer. Um, so Freshsales is actually a CRM built for teams who don't want to juggle between multiple tools and has everything that a salesperson needs in one single tool, from built-in phone to email for you to be able to customize your reports, and it has lead scoring of your various leads and even tracking of all of your leads and a visual sales pipeline to help you organize all of your information about your customer in one single place. It's actually designed to sell. It's actually designed for salespeople to do their job, which is to sell, and them not juggling between multiple tools so that they can focus on their tasks and close the opportunity in front of them. Because marketing does a lot of work to get in all of those leads from top of the funnel and push them through the funnel and come to a point where the salesperson has to pick up the phone or drop in that email to actually engage with the customer. And you don't want to get it wrong at that point with all of the work that's going on behind. So from what Sean has been talking about, that the data problem needs to be solved ASAP, and your information about the customer needs to be real time so that your salesperson is able to sell with context. It does not make sense to have outdated information about your customer and their activity on your website or on your online store or anything. You need to have that real time data to have a very valid conversation with your customer, because a customer's decision keeps changing really fast. So we have a bunch of features that we've built out with Freshsales that help your salespeople track leads, deals, even tracking from when was the last time they visited your website, what are the actions they took on the website. All of this data actually flows from your marketing CRM into Freshsales, which helps you gather more information about your leads in a particular about any particular lead. So these are some of the key features that we've actually built along with Freshsales, and I'm going to take you through some of them right now. Right. So every time there's a lead that comes in, oftentimes a salesperson is not aware of the different touch points the customers or the prospect has already had with your company. So a 360-degree view of let's say a customer has called your company for inquiring about something, and at the same time he's filled out a form on the website giving the email ID and the corresponding phone number that he used to call you from. And he's also I tried to get in touch with you on chat. So these are various data repositories that are placed all over in multiple systems and are in silos. What Freshsales does is gather all of the data into one single platform where you'll have a complete 360-degree view of the customer and have a track of all of the conversations that your salespeople generally have, not just one salesperson, but because if the customer has come through multiple channels, these are multiple conversations and they need to be recorded in one single place. And that's what we've built a 360-degree feature, so you'll be able to see your leads completely. And you have an automatic AI-based lead scoring based on certain criteria and parameters that you can set. This is also leads and information gathered from your CRM itself, because your CRM will be able to identify also your marketing tool will be able to identify which country they're from, which which vertical they work in, all of the critical information that needs to actually move your lead through different stages, because the conversations you're going to have through different stages are completely varying, right? So when you're speaking to a prospect, after the third or fourth touch point, you're still not going to try to discover what their need is. But based on their actions on their website or on your website, you'll actually have a conversation that comes in a later part of the entire sales process. And for your salespeople to actually have these conversations, they'll have to come back to their single source of truth, which is the CRM, to take a look at what their lead score has been and how far they've moved around the funnel. Yes. So we also have a visual sales pipeline, which where you can spread out your entire sales pipeline and do what and see what your entire sales fleet is doing here. A lot of times, a lot of deals get missed out during. I've been in sales before, so I understand. When I was handling a team, a lot of the deals used to go. I would say like pretty much under the carpet, because your focus is on the bigger numbers, right? The smaller deals try to get missed out. But here, you'll have a wider Kanban view of the entire of your entire pipeline at different stages. So you can split it across stage, go analyze and dive into each stage and understand where each account is at. And you'll be able to help as a manager and as a salesperson, you'll be able to help yourself, your team, and everyone around you in your sales team to get on top of their deals and work on deals when there's a difficult, when your salespeople are facing a difficulty. This is also a drag and drop feature, so you'll be able to drag and drop the leads through different stages without having to constantly input new data sets. Like I told you, this is a very intuitive. We believe in building a very intuitive tools for people to use very easily. So you'll be able to move things around really easily. And you can create like multiple pipelines and separate your sales process from here itself. And yeah, we also have reporting features which helps you create customized views on multiple things that you want to see and track. Um, the fresh sales report feature actually builds your sales data into vivid charts that paints a picture of your sales and your sales reps activities. You'll be able to create custom reports from like about the sales cycle, your sales velocity, and your trend line, and just about pull any data from the CRM here. And finally, this is the team where I work with. We have in the marketplace team where we integrate with multiple apps, and we integrate with 100 plus apps on the Fresh Sales marketplace. And one of the apps that we really closely work with is ActiveDemand, a really cool partner who's built out a fantastic product. And a lot of our customers have actually had a massive difference in the way their salespeople approach their prospects with the conversations that they can have with the data points available when your marketing and sales team are in alignment. And these guys have really helped most of our customers, all of the customers that use the ActiveDemand. Their sales process has smoothened to such an extent that there are no more fights between the sales and marketing teams that usually happens in any size organization.
Okay, well, thanks for that walkthrough of Fresh Sales. Definitely, we've been Freshworks clients for many years. I think we're back when you first started, we were definitely using Freshworks products, and it's been a fantastic journey working with the folks at Freshworks. And really the takeaway here is that I think that, yes, there's two problems that we're trying to solve. One is the data problem, and the second is definitely a people problem. And when we're building out tech stack for the sales and marketing organizations, I think it's important to understand the ramifications of how the tool sets will integrate. And it's a case that the integration between ActiveDemand and Freshsales is absolutely fantastic. And arguably the interface that we have developed with Freshsales is definitely our richest interface as far as integrations with third-party apps. So we have lots of automations, we have lots of tools to help with the sales process, etc. So I'm just going to do a very quick walkthrough and sort of show you how the two pieces of software play together, and then we'll wrap this up and open up the channels for questions. So ActiveDemand, like I said before, is a tool set used by marketers to apply pressure to a population of people to create sales-ready leads. And it is the system of record for all of those prospects that are not ready for sales engagement. So when the marketers are working within ActiveDemand, so ActiveDemand, they're typically working inside the context of a campaign. So ActiveDemand has two campaign interfaces. The campaign container holds all of the assets, the strategy, and the measurement for the marketers. So the one campaign interface that you'll see is our calendar interface, and this is used for setting up or promoting events that have fixed dates and times on the calendar. So for example, this email is going to go out at this date and time, this email will go at this date and time, this email will follow up with everybody that didn't engage with the previous emails. We can schedule social content, blog posts, bulk import posts with spreadsheets, and we're definitely the only marketing automation platform out there today that has the concept of a content approval process. So really what this is that it allows us to enforce QA and QC processes on the marketing, on the content dissemination. So really, in really broad strokes, it's a very simple process. It's the person who writes the content cannot publish it. The content has to be approved by a moderator. That's if it's enabled. You don't have to have this enabled, but I think that it's something that is very useful. One is we have a full audit trail for everything that all of the steps the content has gone through. All of our builders, whether it's the email builder, the page builder, the dynamic content builder, pop-up builder, or even web form builder, it is the same easy to use drag and drop interface that allows us to really make it so that it's one interface to learn no matter what type of content what type of assets we're creating as marketers. The other campaign interface we have is the workflow campaigns, and this is really where the first campaign type is if we're trying to promote some fixed date and time event. The other type of campaign is the trigger-based campaigns, and this is where the prospect does something that brings them into a state where we want to set up a personal journey. So for example, somebody follows me on Twitter, do I have their email address? Great, I'll send them emails. If not, I'll start sending them direct Twitter messages or SMS engagement or this type of stuff. So back to this one slide I just want to talk about here. So I've talked about all of these things, what we're doing up here as marketers. This is absolutely the most critical part of the interface between a marketing system and a sales system. So up here, we're going to do a lot of different strategies, but typically this is fairly well defined. What is a lead and who are we sending it to internally? And how we've approached this in ActiveDemand with the integration with Freshsales is we've actually abstracted that interface into a single workflow. And really the idea here is that with the workflow, we design what is the lead qualification and distribution strategy. So this workflow is fired automatically whenever a prospect does something. Open an email, phone us, click a link, book a meeting, any of these types of things like I mentioned, ActiveDemand is tracking. So if the prospect does something, the prospect enters this workflow, and the intent of this workflow is to determine, is this ready for sales engagement? And if it is ready for sales engagement, we can pass it off to distribute it to the appropriate sales team based on geo-IP location or account or what have you, back to the account-based marketing strategies. And then we can post this either as a lead or as a contact to create a deal inside Freshsales. So we can automate the deal stage progression based on prospect engagement with workflows. So now that this is truly a sales ready lead, it's now into Freshsales. And Freshsales is a fantastic interface for the sales organization. One of the things that we've done with Freshsales is we've added a layer of data on top of Freshsales to help the salespeople make better use of their time. The first layer of data that we've added is this little dot here, which is we call Prospect Insights. So using our Chrome extension, we can find out who's on our website at any given time, whether they're anonymous or not. And as well, in Freshsales, this little dot here turns green to tell us that this prospect is currently online. And if I click this little link, and this person, Ange Worthington, is currently on the website right now, I can see everything that that person's doing, all the emails they've clicked, the links they've clicked, the phones, the calls they've made, etc. And we also have what's called account insights, and we can look at and see all of the different employees of the account and their engagement with the website. And although Freshsales does have a fantastic call system, we've added a power dialer that allows the salespeople to automate not just the calls, but also the response, like automatic email templates, voicemail drops. We do power dialing where you can get a list of people and just bang through these calls. And we also expose the ability for salespeople to do drip campaigns or assign prospects to drip campaigns directly from within the sales interface. So for example, with Ange here, if I select as please book a meeting with me, it's the case that this will enter the person into the workflow. And it's the case that the workflow will follow the prospect through the journey, and we're able to set up tasks in the sales interface for the prospect as well. So that's pretty much it. I just want to bring things back and again thank everybody for the time they've given us today. Now we're going to open it up for questions.